Alright, we should be live. What do you mean scheduled 7:34? 7:34 now, internet. Whenever connection wants to pick up. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Jesus, what's going on with this? Hello, Logan. How are you? You are first person in the stream so far. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, but I'm just getting things started up on my end. I didn't originally kind of plan to stream this, but there's been like a lot of talk about the trailer, and I thought that it would maybe be worth me talking about some of my honest thoughts and feelings about it, because there's a lot of bad faith arguments about certain things about the trailer and certain things that are good about the trailer. I thought I would throw my my ball in the court and we would talk about it. But before we dive right into things, hello, how is everyone doing? Is everyone good? I hope everyone's had a wonderful weekend. It's Sunday? God, it's gone so quick this weekend. You can probably hear the ice cream van in the background. That sounds really dodgy out of context, but how is everyone? Hello. I'm also trying to sort out some bits on my end, including the fact that I should tweet this as I go live, because I would like an actual real discussion with a lot of you guys, kind of, talking and discussing a lot of the stuff with the trailer right now. Doing well. Definitely tired of the Jade Ball. There's a lot of talk. Here's the thing. I don't like it. I like that there's purpose behind it, but I think I do take issue, but it's not entirely with it being a design decision. I don't think it's like, I know there's a lot of people making it like end of the world, apocalyptic, bad, but it's not that. It's definitely not that, but there's issues. Alright, so that's done. Let me quickly tweet this out, and then we're gonna do this all kind of live, so that way we can kind of like have a chat and engage about it, because I think there's a lot of thoughts and different feelings about it. So let me get everything going. But with that said, the mic volume's a bit low, really. Let's Alright, I'm going to whack up the gain a bit. I say that again a bit. Hello. Wah. I should be quite a bit louder. I'm teetering on orange, not quite on red. Is that okay? Because I do not want to blow out people's ears. You're too loud. Okay, so we've gone way to the other side of things. Better? Too loud? No? Yes? I mean, as long as I'm not distorting, it should be fine. It should be fine. Alright, let me grab a copy of this image, and then I will put it out on the Twitter. Let's not there. Still coming off the hype. Mortal Kombat 2 trailer. We could do a live stream. Some more thoughts and feelings. Breaking down things I liked and really didn't. Come on by and hang out. Let's slap a thumbnail on that. This is how we do the social medias, unfortunately, friends. Alright, let's go. off the hype for the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer. Capital I. Yeah, stream dash. Alright. You have my full undivided attention now, chat. But before we sink our teeth into things, I do want to ask, and I do want to say, how's everyone? How's your weekends currently coming along? I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing good. I'm going to throw in the trailer in the background, so that way we have a little bit of rapport going on. I'm going to angle myself as well. But how's everyone doing? You're good, no distortion, not too loud. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, don't forget we do have a Discord server. Feel free to join it. I'm surprised they're not showing. So I suspect they're probably holding on to Quan Chi for a little bit later on. So I can't say, and I won't talk too much, but I do have contacts with certain people in this film currently, which I'm talking to, and one of the thing is that they're like, we can't say very much, we can't tell you very much, but we appreciate your work, which was nice. That's just very wholesome, and it's very, very kind. It's never necessary, but it's very kind. But it means that I know like certain things, and if a character's not appearing in a trailer, and this is not from them, this is from me, it means they are purposely like keeping them away, at least for the time being. I was thinking of starting a mythology club for my school and was thinking of using God of War videos for Norse mythology. I found it. So, Logan, those videos are great for God of War. They are not good for Norse mythology, unfortunately. The God of War team put a lot of big spins on Norse mythology, especially Norse mythology, and twist a lot of the Greek stuff. But whilst they're very good videos, as someone who basically studied Norse mythology for like 2 or 3 years to make those videos, I would not cite them as reliable for Nordic mythology, unfortunately. Good up us vacuum and doing a beard wax. That sounds awful. Except for characters, carry MK2. I don't know. I feel like it's a collaborative project, so there's going to be things in this that I'm really looking forward to, and then there's literally things I'm kind of dreading. But I have my overall thoughts and feelings. We'll snipe you down if you post something about the MK2 trailer. No, they won't snipe me down. To be fair, it would not be the first time I was put in Warner Brothers, like... Oh wait, let me put it on loop. It wouldn't be the first time I was put on Warner Brothers shit list. So it would not bother me to go back on it for a period of time like I have beforehand. Hence why I was largely absent for a large majority. Here's the thing, a lot of you guys don't know it because I haven't been vocal about it. Neither has it ever been like confirmed to me, but I'm pretty sure I was on Warner Brothers shit list from 2021 to about 2023. Because during the early press release and promotion for Mortal Kombat 1, I wasn't invited to shit. I did not get any opportunities. I was fighting for like my fucking life when it came to content, because like all of my friends and all of my buddies in the US were getting like Mortal Kombat 1 early access B-roll. We're being shipped to the Game Awards for this 2023. And you know what I got? I got an early preview screening for The Flash. And that's what I got. You think that's how you know it was bad? That's how you know it was bad. I was given the opportunity to watch The Flash, and in a way was like silently obliged to agree to that because it was 1 week before like the preview for the Summer Games Fest. And I'm like, I can't turn this down because this is a business opportunity and I don't want to come across as disrespectful. So there may have been a last second chance that he could fit me into it. No, they had me watch The Flash instead. And that was an experience. I will say that home cinema was wonderful, lovely, and the hospitality was excellent. But yeah, you can probably guess how much of a bitter pill that was to swallow. But yeah, I wasn't invited or given the opportunity to record any gameplay during any of the early access stuff. So when I say I was probably in the shit books and did not realize it for a while, I mean that. It sucked. But we're here a few years later, so we're here to talk about all things MK still. It's the case of probably like too stubborn to stop for my own good. But yeah, that was definitely a thing. If you saw a cool young actress interested in playing Kung Jin, I think he fits the role. Well, no, it's not that he's interested in Kung Jin, Todd. He's actually played Kung Jin. In season 3 of Mortal Kombat Legacy, which was filmed but scrapped on the editorial cutting room floor, he played Kung Jin. He played Kung Jin for that entire thing, and it's never seen the light of day. There's been photos that have floated around the internet. I think the Realmcast, shout out to the Realmcast, did an interview with some of the people from Legacy Season 3, but we will never see that. Which is also why it's why I have a lot of flack for people that give Lewis Tan a lot of shit. Because he was actively like spearheading a Mortal Kombat movie to get done after Conquest Season 3 got scrapped. He just got the unfortunate end of being caught in a project that was in developmental hell with a lot of really weird things I hear that went through the draft phase of the 2021 movie, including a Mortal Kombat Legacy-esque adaptation which was set in the modern day, but it was fucking terrible. Like, Shao Kahn was a crime boss, so I hear, and then it wasn't Cole Young, it was Cole Turner, and that was his original name. And then he would die and then be gunned down by this mafia-esque guy, and it would be like a spin on the Punisher, where he then comes back as Scorpion in the modern day to hunt and then kill him. And it's like, it's so not Mortal Kombat. It's so not Mortal Kombat. It's just like, it's modernizing something to be relatable, and it's like so nothing. And I'm glad it got scrapped. It sounds terrible. Is Conquest any good? I watched Defenders of the Realm, but I think Conquest has a lot more charm to it, and if you like the 95 movie, the vibes there are like, it's definitely there, but it isn't the most polished product in the world. But it's got its moments. Why is Kano back but not Melina? Because people liked Kano, for one. And two, I suspect Resurrection most certainly played a part in it. I had my theory videos. Also, hello, Howls. It's been a long time, by the way, buddy. I hope you're doing good. Hope you've been well. I still haven't forgotten you, my friend. I hope you've been good. One thing that bothers me about MK2 is taking too much inspiration from MK11, which I wasn't beloved by fans. It was kind of. I agree. I partially agree with that. The thing is, the stuff that they've taken from 11, it looks like they've cherry-picked costume designs, which I'm fine with. I think costume designs in MK11 is largely one of its stronger aspects, and I'm glad that they've taken bits that I do like from it. Although, admittedly, again, there are problems and issues. What chance we see Ermac? I don't think we'll see Ermac here. I don't think so. If they get a sequel, maybe, but I suspect that this movie would have to make a considerable amount of its budget back to get a sequel. And the thing is, when it's Mortal Kombat, it's always gonna do very well. It's just whether or not the quality lives up to what's there. The film does look well, which I assume. Where do they take free? No idea. Well, that's the thing. Currently, there is no confirmation for a Mortal Kombat 3. However, Joe Taslim, which is Bihan, his actor is signed on for 3 more movies, which I largely suspect will either be spin-offs or prequels. So there'll be quite a few things. Was he not as Emperor? Who? Also, hello, Matthew. How you doing? Can we hope that Shao is not as a dumb brew? Charismatic as supposed to be in the games. Ooh, that's hard to say. That's hard to say. It's interesting the direction they're actually going with Shao, because I think that might be why Jade is bored. I think he's purposely shaved the Edenian people that he wants to fashion into weapons, whilst basically wedding Sindel and adopting Katana. It's an interesting take if they do go that direction. I have a lot of feelings on that. I do actually have... I don't know if I'd say I have a script here, but I do have a lot of bullet points and stuff I do want to talk about and analyze and like go through, because I have like a lot of feelings on this movie. Like there's a lot of good. There's most certainly bad. But I think the good definitely outweighs the bad right now. One of the things I will say about the trailer is that it's definitely it's put me in a position where I'm wanting more. And that isn't necessarily like a bad thing, but I'm worried that by me wanting to see more, I might wind up spoiling the movie for myself. It's like a double-edged sword. I like what I see, but I need to see more to get a better opinion. But I stood up on that line of like, man, if I go past this line, like, I might spoil the movie for myself. And I know there's like early screening spoilers, but keep in mind, like, there's a lot of that stuff that winds up being fake sometimes. And also, I will say, since I talked about earlier when I went to the Flash screening, the Flash screening I went to watch did not have the George Clooney thing at the end. It actually cut to black, and it was more so implied that it was someone different. So I guess things are very different in that regard. I remember when you thought that the Reiko actor was Shao Kahn, which wasn't possible. Actor can't act. Which Reiko actor? MK11 Shao, dragon skin in the arms. They gone with that. So I'm a really big fan of that design. I think I really like MK11 Shao's design. In saying that, I don't really think... No, I say that. Shao has had some pretty ass designs here and there. Shao without his helmet always looks like shit. But for the most part, when he has the helmet on, it looks great. The helmet here, look, I have my opinions on it. I have my feelings on it. I recognize Jade actress. Tati Gabrielle. She's actually quite a good actress. She's been in a number of projects I actually really like. My first exposure to her was actually the Netflix show You, and she's excellent in that. She's like a recovering drug addict and a mom, and like she is excellent in that. She's very good. So I know she's gonna kill it. But I know she's getting a lot of flack and shit. But I think, how do I phrase this? People are slinging shit her way for the wrong reasons, where there are problems with the design choices of making Jade bald, and they're not, and people are like looking at it through a half lens of, oh, she doesn't look like the game, which is fair surface level analysis, but there's further criticism in the direction and design of that choice, which is the real problem. I don't think it's a terrible choice, but I don't think it's a good idea. And that also largely ties into the live action adaptations we've had of Jade. We've only had one live action adaptation. That was Annihilation. And that was the Asian depiction of the character, which is not at all accurate to either the character design nor the game. It just didn't work. And it wasn't a good version of the character. And again, was not faithful. So that's one of my problems, is that we finally do have a live action depiction of Jade, but it's not a version of Jade that we're familiar with. And keep in mind, for many people, this is probably like their first introduction to this character in a live screen. Yeah, the only other time now I think about it that she's been involved in anything in the expanded media, I don't think she was in Conquest. I think maybe Battle of the Realms, but that was it. And even then, she had like 5 lines and then got knocked out by Liu Kang. Jay was from Sabrina reboot. Yeah, no, she's a really good actress. Here's the thing. I have absolutely no doubt she's gonna fucking kill it. I have no doubt she will knock it out the park and she will kill it. But she's been put in an unfortunate position where it's like, even if there is a narrative reason behind it, no matter how strong it's gonna be like a bitter pill to swallow. And unfortunately, I have to be for real, unfortunately, for the director and team, they so happen to have done this to a character with arguably one of the most volatile sub-fan bases in the Mortal Kombat community. The Edenian fans. Like, that's... Woof. You don't give them what they want, they're not happy. You give them what they want, they're still not happy, but they're just playing their character now. That is just how it goes. Can you guess why they changed Jade to Balls? Their reason. So, Eddie, I presume you didn't see yesterday's video. If not, I recommend you checking it out. If you don't have the time, then I'm gonna condense it down here for people in the chat. I think that there's 2 reasons. There's the first one, which is that I think from a narrative perspective, knowing Shao Kahn, knowing how he conquers realms, and knowing how he enslaves people, I believe that one of the reasons why Jade is bald is that upon capturing Edenia, he has actively gone out his way to decide to strip the Edenians of like their beauty and their femininity, so to say. You know, it isn't out of line for a character like Shao to take a race of people and then enslave them under his will. But maybe by stripping them of their beauty and their individuality, what they're most infamous for, he's able to fashion them into the weapons easier. It's how he like breaks people. Strip them of who they are and then have them become what he wants them to be. I think that's what he's gone for, which is why Jade is the way she is. There was like Emperor's God or a random kind of like jobber that also appears in the trailer who looks very similar to Jade, but I don't believe is, because they have different head tattoos. But I think that he's done that so he can be like, you're just weapons to me now. This is who you are as people. He keeps Sindel and Kitana as his like rewards and trophies, holds them up in higher acclaim. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense narratively. You know, keep them as his gems and the rest are just like how do I phrase this? It's not fashions of war or weapons of war, but just like remnants of a lost age that he can parade around. Like, that's the type of fucking asshole he is, which is, you know, perfectly in line with the character, works fine. But I also think that another reason why it was done is because Tati Gabrielle was also a recognizable actress. So it would make sense why they'd want her to be recognizable. But I don't think it should come at the justification of the character, which I think makes sense. Spoilers of war. There you go. So I think that there's 2 reasons for it. There's 2 reasons for it. What's your favorite version of Jade? Her deception depiction is my favorite. It was also my first MK. So I was introduced to probably the best version of the character, and the fact that the Jade Girls Gone Wild video from like 2005 did things to my brain that I did not quite understand, but it did something. Jokes aside, yeah, that was and still is the best version of the character, because that is arguably the only time that Jade has had any sense of individuality in like a Mortal Kombat game, where she's been able to stand on her own two legs without having to lean into Katana so much. She still is very dependent on her narratively, but it isn't like a fully fledged thing. And keep in mind, I used to be like a really big advocate of Jade. Really was a fan of her character because I was introduced to her. But I haven't been a fan of how she's... I liked how she was utilized in 9. I really do not like how she's utilized in 11, especially her pairing with Kotal, which was completely unnecessary. And as for her absence in 1, I'm okay with it, because like I feel like they did enough to the character that I did not like in MK11 that I was like, I'm okay with giving this character a pass for a little bit. Can wear a hot ring outfit, but hair's a no-no. But titties are the devil. How can I as a player play a game not hard? There you go. It's really Baraka, just random talk. It's absolutely Baraka. They would not they would not cast an actor as random Tarkata guy to just appear in the trailer and go like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, you got MK3 Jade running at you. Oh no, I had the benefit of not being introduced to video games during the 90s and then really being introduced to them in the early 2000s. So I was quite a late baby to gaming in that regard. But it I was able to dodge that bullet. The actress is not Jade. I mean, she is. Who are we to argue with the casting? I'll say that. She's a good actress, but like one of the points I do have to talk about is like, I don't see Jade, I see Tati Gabrielle, which isn't a bad thing, but the lines between the character and the actress, they don't even blur, because she has a very distinct look and style of appearance that I cannot not see her. It's the same with Johnny Cage and Carl Urban. I fucking love that Carl Urban's playing Johnny Cage, but like, I see Carl Urban. I see Carl Urban acting, but I don't see him acting as Johnny Cage, despite the fact that I think the Grimehouse trailer for him was excellent. Like, it's really weird. It's being able to find that distinguished line, and I think that's where what I as a fan, I'm struggling to see that distinguished difference between the two. Perhaps they should handle the move to Asian industry like Japanese from walking above. No, because here's the thing, when it comes to the Asian cinema as well, considering how graphic and skull heavy like Mortal Kombat is, like, I put it like this. Why do you think Shao does not have his skull helmet? Is it because it was too hard to implement with the costume? Or is it the fact that skull designs are actually banned in China? And that would be a big, huge audience for them. Hence why Taskmaster in the Black Widow movie has a completely different design. It's because skulls, like, are banned there. Like, it's a fucking weird thing. But it's a thing all the same, and I'm just like, I don't know. That would not work, unfortunately. Although I would like to see an Asian depiction of Mortal Kombat. That would be very fucking... Oh man, I say that. And a Mortal Kombat anime would bang actually pretty hard. That would actually be really fucking cool. Other questions: why Scorpion wearing the same first movie, not change the original design? To be fair, I think a lot of the actors do retain some of their original costumes. I think Sonya has the same costume. Jax has a shirt on now, but he didn't have a shirt on in the original, so that's kind of cheating. Scorpion still has the same. Cole, naturally, is kind of his shtick. Liu Kang, honestly, it's the same costume, but in red, which is fine. It's a Hollywood paradox, unfortunately. Until you know you actually understand how you can portray it better than you can watch the movie. I mean, hey man, I am fine with being surprised. If she can surprise me, all the more power to her. Wouldn't should hate ghosts? Yeah, it's a really weird thing. It's I think it might be cultural, mind you. I don't understand what the finer details of that are, but I know that is a thing. What are your thoughts on Quan Chi? I'm looking forward to Quan Chi, but admittedly, when it comes to Mortal Kombat characters, Quan Chi to me is like on the real lower end of the tier list for me. I don't particularly like Quan Chi. Everyone has that one character in an MK game where they like never wind up playing him. It's usually Quan for me. Never really settled onto it. Probably used trailer trickery when Liu Kang was possibly Scorpion fighting show. I don't think so, because it looks like it's still in the church hallway. But that is a half decent theory, I will say. That's Quan Chi laughing never wrong. Yeah, I saw that theory on Twitter actually. That was a pretty cool one. Quan Chi MK9. If MK had an anime, would we see Bihan or his brother? Yeah, of course. I feel like, honestly, if you were to do an anime with any MK character, you could very, very easily do a spin-off with the Lin Kuei. Very easily. Like, that would be straight up perfect. Like, it doesn't have to be a retelling of mythologies. It doesn't have to be anything strictly tied to the games. It could literally be its own, like, little thing. And it would be so cool. So goddamn cool. Stages and costumes do look really good. I say that. Some of the costumes land a little bit better than the others. But overall, I generally think the costume, like, in the costume department, it's a W. Which characters do you think get the most plot armor? Unfortunately, it would be Cole, because he's, you know, he's got the Black Panther armor, effectively. I'm so hyped for the movie. I hope they do MK2 cinema merch, like popcorn bar. Dude, I even tweeted that. If they did Mortal Kombat popcorn buckets, I would fucking punch like a hole in the moon. Like, right through. That would be so cool to have. So cool to have. I didn't hear any mention MK from Japan. No, we were talking about whether or not it should be handled by an Asian studio. To which I would 1,000,000% be down for, if it was like an anime adaptation. I don't see them doing a live action because of the whole skulls thing in China, as I brought up earlier. But I would definitely be down for like different interpretations and depictions. I think that's really good and healthy for the series, honestly. Because look what, you know, movies like Mortal Kombat Snowblind did. New and different in a way like that is actually pretty good and healthy. But not too not too new and different. Keep it grounded. Something loyal. Outside of anime for live action, I need Naruto. I mean, fair enough. Do you think they're going to give Raiden a fight scene? I don't think so, but I hope so. I do hope so, because I think he would really benefit from it at this point. I do not like the live action 2021 depiction of Raiden, because the guy seems like a bit of a dick. They did not put him out in a way that I actually like the character, but here it looks like they're kind of remedying it. Street Fighter vs Tekken did crossover in game, not in live action, although that would be very cool. I know there's one on YouTube that's actually half decent. Pop up at Rips Arena once a month. Oh, I probably won't be popping by. Imagine Cole with Shiraryu outfit. I mean, he technically does. Yeah, no, I haven't popped by Rip's Arena, but that's mostly because, like, I'm currently checked out of competitive MK. Because I'm taking a prolonged break from, like, the FGC. To me, the best Raiden design is MK9. It's good. I think X is my personal favorite. I think it's very solid. I think MK11's a bit too over-designed. When do you like to come other than oops, sorry about you? Would you like to come into this other than I wouldn't mind Rain. Rain's always a pretty cool inclusion when he's allowed to do stuff, but that's every here and there. Alright, so Alright, so everyone. Thank you very much for the $5 dono. Xavier, I would love to see a show on the Lin Kuei with Sub-Zero, Tundra, Smoke, Sector, and Cyrax, and even their rivalry with Scorpion and Shiraryu. That would be really cool. Honestly, it's kind of long overdue, but it's whether or not Warner want to do it. Alright, so with that said, everyone, for those who have just got here, those who, have been looking forward to kind of hearing my own personal thoughts and feelings and, like, what I liked about the trailer and what things I didn't like about the trailer, I thought we could actually sit through it today, talk about things I didn't like, and we're actually going to go, like, from character to character, and then we're going to talk about the finer bits and details from the trailer that I did like and then I didn't like. Because there's a lot of things here that I really enjoyed, and then there was a lot of things that just kind of missed me, so we're gonna kind of go from the very top, work our way through it. I do have, like, a bit of a shitty gallery slideshow, so to say, where we can talk about things we liked, things we didn't like, and just kind of go through the different options, because I have a lot to say. Not all bad, not all good, but things I feel like I need and I have to say all the same. So, let's just get right into going through it bit by bit and then just see how we feel. You know, we've got a lot of feelings, a lot of things I want to say and express. Alright, let's get it up. Where is this one? Yes. Alright, let's go to start slideshow. We're gonna pause it there. Alright. Chat. Speak and go away. Let's see if the chat actually works for this page, or if it's going to look really tacky. As many as possible. How many MK films do we need? Big fat W. Oh, wait, the chat box is hidden. Chat, go wild. Let's see if you're in there. Oh, up there. Yeah, let's go. God, that looks so blocky. Fucking hell. Alright, let's shrink that down to size. Dear Lord. Alright, let's put you out there. Alright. Alright, so I thought we could go through them character by character with people that I liked, people I disliked, and one of the characters that I really want to talk about and kind of go through here was Kano. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone unanimously agrees that Kano was, like, the best part of the 2021 movie. Like, he was really funny, he was really charismatic. I believe, like, Josh Lawson improvised, like, 90% of his lines, and if so, that was, like, he fucking killed it if he did. I don't know what they can really do with him this movie. That's my one kind of worry. See what chat's saying. Yeah. No, I think everyone kind of unanimously agrees with that in that regard. Because he seems like he was so solid. He was so good. And that's the thing, right? Like, he was so good and so solid that, if I'm honest, I feel like it was this fan reception of the 2021 movie that actually was the thing that brought him back for this one. Because when it comes to Kano, he's just a bit of... I don't know if one note's the correct word to describe Kano, but he's a character that's very on the surface, very simple with what he does. He's Australian, he likes knives, and he steals shit. But like they did like a phenomenal job with him. I was pleasantly surprised, and honestly, I'm really happy he's back. I don't know what reason they're gonna use to like justify bringing him back. To like, oh, he's a revenant, he's a specter. They could probably just bullshit it and just say, oh, he's back now, and everyone would unanimously agree because everyone really liked him the first movie. Do we agree, chat? I feel like we all unanimously agree. Give him a cybernetic eye, and yeah, it would be flawless. I honestly like. You could just say that his eyes now his eyeballs now cybernetic, and then you just kind of fix it. You don't even need to have the thing over his face. He looks great the way he is. But so yeah, honestly, I'm just kind of looking forward to him being in it, and I think any scene that him and like Johnny Cage are gonna be in is like gonna absolutely kill it. So as far as I'm concerned, no matter like what bullshit reason they try to like justify bringing him back, I'm sure everyone's just gonna go like, no, it's cool, we just wanted him back, so that's fine in my book. Please no nanotech. Nano machines, son. Alright, so I feel like we've covered everything I feel about Kano, and I'm like I said, I'm glad he's back, but let's move on to another character. And I feel like chat here's chat here is gonna have a lot of feelings about this character in particular. I'm waiting to hear and see the onslaught of boos, unfortunately. I'm waiting to see it. I love that. Cole lol. First comment. Let's go. Cabal should be alive too then. Yeah, but he didn't get brought back from the dead by being grabbed by some weird mysterious monster mist thing. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Plot armor himself. This poor man. This poor man. Now, here's the thing. I know that I know that Cole gets like a lot of shit from the community, and rightfully so, for being like a forced studio inclusion. But in like my mind, I don't find him offensively terrible. If anything, I'm like super indifferent to it, because I'm past my edge of like really detesting a studio inserted OC character, especially when it's for an already established audience for a game that's been out for this long. But how do I put this? But I'm gonna put it like this: with him no longer being like the main character seat and role, I feel like it makes his character a little bit more digestible. Like, I don't know the longevity of this character, as there's always things online about what his fate will be, and oh my god, I hate him so much, I hope he dies, blah blah blah. But I'm kind of like, I'm really past that. So if he lives, he lives. If he dies, he dies. Maybe he'll be Shao's pet. That's a crazy comment. He's a crazy comment. But no, like, even then, like, I kind of agree. He's just a bit of like a nothing burger character that's he was just like forced into the position he was because the studio thought that Johnny Cage is too much of a weird character, let's make our own. And I will say, man, I have a lot of feelings about this, because this is going to be a little bit of a hot take in that regard. I find the whole situation revolving I find like the whole situation revolving around Cole Young extremely unfair to Lewis Tan. Because, like, keep in mind, this was a dude who acted as Kung Jin in like season 3 of Mortal Kombat Legacy. And ever since that project was put in the cutting room floor and then left to die, he was one of the very few people that did keep that project alive and going, despite the fucking position he got himself inserted in, despite the fact he made it very clear unfathomably clear that if you wanted to play any MK character, it was fucking Ken Shi. And instead, they gave him a fucking studio-only OC character. That is fucking tragic. Really tragic. And here's the thing. Again, a lot of people give Cole Young shit, and I don't, because I don't think it's this man's fucking fault. He did as much as he could with what he had, and it wasn't very much. So I give this man his flowers because he goddamn deserves it in that regard. But fucking hell, like, that's a really rough situation to be stuck in. Especially when you're the person that's advocating for this. And I know some people will say, oh, well, he could have just left the project, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This man was fighting for it for like 5 or 6 years and finally got it. And then they're like, you're playing a character that we want the audience to relate to. Like, bro, that is rough. That is rough to go through. Oh god. Yeah, let me go through my notes here. Because again, like, I'm sorry for getting a little bit heated about it, but this is like one of those instances where like he gets shade and shit for something that was completely out of his control. Like, I do not think it's fair. And he actually seems like a pretty chill dude, all things considered. He seems like a nice guy. With that said, do I necessarily care if Cole lives or dies? Not especially. But with that in mind, like, I feel like as a career direction, I feel like this was a really rough position that he got thrown into. Like, he got fed to the wolves. So I hope in the future, if a reboot or miniseries or whatever is ever done, I would like to see Louis Tan be involved in some capacity, because he fucking deserves that. He really does. Now, with that said, I think I've covered everything. He could have left the film. He gets no past. Other actors have done it. Yogi, I literally just said, this is a man who kept that dream alive for 5 to 6 years, and if he didn't, no Mortal Kombat live action movie would exist. This man advocated for it for a long time, got it off the floor. Then they were like, oh, okay, you can be in it, but only under our control and direction. That's like, 5 years is a lot of fucking time to advocate for something, to then get told, you can be in it, but not kind of really. Like, that's rough. Then no, MK, doing it wrong is wrong. Yeah, but the studio don't give a shit at that point. They're still gonna make money despite what he wants to do. You can work for something for 5 years of your fucking life, get to it, and try to morally play the card of, oh, well, it's not the way I want to do it. But they're still gonna go through despite what you want. This man, like, fucking took his time to do it and still got shafted by it, man. That's rough. That is rough to do. And I feel sorry for him in that regard. Because, like, this is gonna stick with him, unfortunately. In saying that, like, I think he's doing fine without Mortal Kombat. But, man, it just sucks. It sucks. Tied to it, then, it's not your vision. Yeah, but if you want to be a part of it, it gets bastardized and changed despite how hard you push for it, Yogi. And keep in mind, let's not pretend that keeping your name in Hollywood isn't a really hard and difficult thing to do. Do you bite the bullet to stay relevant, or do you fade into obscurity like another dying star? That's the unfortunate part of the entertainment business, tragically. That said, though, that kind of sums up my feelings on Cole. But I think there's everything that's said and that needs to be said. And now you're dissed for a role and you ain't going to be a part of it in that way. And now you're dissed for that role and you ain't even want to be a part in that way. I feel like you said a typo? I feel like there's a typo, unless I'm missing something. Anyway, we are now done with Cole. I feel like this is a character and actor. I say that. we're going to move on to someone that I actually really liked in the role, but was not utilized well despite the absolute potential that he did have. Because I think that he's a really good actor when he's given the opportunity to work, but he had like the screen time of like 10 or 15 minutes. Like, you guys will have to confirm with me in chat. And that is going to be Max Huang's Kung Lao. Now, I think from a visual aesthetic, I think they got his look down on point. To mind you, I think it's actually really hard to fuck up the look of Kung Lao unless you make his hat absolutely silly. I say that, Mortal Kombat Legacy's Kung Lao does not look fantastic. But this was a pleasant but surprising return for me. In terms of story, I am interested to see how he's interwoven back into like the narrative as a whole. I know like some people have said from the trailer that they do believe him to be a revenant as he features in it, and he's kind of seen fighting alongside Liu Kang and Shang Tsung. But I don't know if that is necessarily the case. I think that this is a situation where... Oh, how do I phrase this? I think this is a situation because I think it is like way smarter to go for the, oh, Shang Tsung now has my soul, I can transform into him and use all of his skills, instead of pulling a trigger on like the Revenant button. I don't think it's wise to pull a trigger on the Revenant button because I feel like that's a case of like way too many ideas going on, and I feel like if you want to do the Revenant stuff, you do it later down the line. And I feel like the idea of Shang Tsung being able to turn into Kung Lao and kind of like bastardize like Liu Kang's best friend is a way better direction. Way better direction. So I will say that is a really good choice in that regard. I think it's a good idea to bring him back. He was always going to come back anyway. He's damn too good. I mean, he's a dude from like Jackie Chan's stunt team. He's done a lot of other projects and he's really good. So I'm glad that he's back. Do I have any other points? No, I think this kind of covers everything I do feel about Lao. It's good to have him back. I sincerely hope he has more screen time. I don't think he will if he's just like a transformed clone or whatever, but I look forward to having him back. He was one of my favorite parts of the 2021 movie, and there was a lot of parts that I wasn't too fond of personally, but he was a good part of it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Our next character here, Shao Kahn. I have a lot of really weird feelings. I have a lot of really weird feelings about this one because there are elements of his design that I actually do really like, and then there's parts of it where I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at here. Now, as a whole, in terms of visual design and appearances when it comes to the helmet, because it's like so iconic and synonymous with the character, I think it's really fucking cool. I cannot deny it's like a really good look. I very much so am a fan of it, but I don't like how there isn't a distinguished look between the bone part of the mask and then the steel part of the mask. It being like one metal steel frame is not something I'm kind of jiving with. Like, I don't know, it's just like, when I think of Shao Kahn, I always think of the helmet. Because here's the thing, when we think of Shao Kahn, we don't think of the man under the helmet. That's an ugly motherfucker. When we think of Shao, we think of the skull bone helmet. It's just synonymous with him. And when it's this, I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. It's giving like Megatron. And I like my Megatron, but I don't want my Shao Kahn to look like Megatron. Am I I feel like I'm in the right for saying that. It's not necessarily like a deal breaker for me visually, but I will say what kind of is actually like the rest of his armor design. It's weird. So, when we get a portrait walking shot, and we see the fucking brick shithouse of a man that is Martin Ford, looks incredible. Wonderful even. Love how ominous it was in the trailer where he's walking on the horizon and you just see the red glowing eyes. It's very, very cool. But when we get a side shot of him, or anything that is slightly off axis, slightly off center, he looks a little bit weird. Like, the armor looks a little bit too layered, it looks a bit clunky, and mind you, it's not like Shao Kahn's known for his agile armor, he's a built brick shithouse. But I think it may be a case of adding too much to an already very complicated design. I need, like, one of the things that I need to see when it comes to this depiction of Shao Kahn is I need an actual portrait shot of him. I'm not gonna go off what I see in the game, because sometimes things in game don't always translate to movie, but I do need to see it properly in film and how it looks like. Outside of the armor design though, I think they went with a very good casting choice with Martin Ford. He matches the stature and the build for Shao Kahn damn near perfectly. They really nailed it with him, so I'm looking forward to seeing his portrayal. Again, if I was to nitpick or like pick away at problems I did have with this depiction, the very little that we have heard of his voice, it's not quite as intimidating as what I'd like. Like, Shao Kahn has a super iconic voice, you know, the finish him is so synonymous with the character and the look and the design, and the voice matches what's there, but there's like a bar when it comes to Shao Kahn, to how he sounds and how he looks, and the trailer didn't quite land that for me. I think I wanted a little bit more bass or something. I don't know if alien is the right word, but something a little bit more synonymous or reverby, something that really sticks, and I didn't quite get it there. But trailers and movies, different things. Maybe it might change in post. We'll have to wait and see. But I kind of like what they're doing with Shao. It's just he does look a little bit funny at certain angles here. With that said, I believe that takes us into our next character. The hammer does look really good. Alright, so this does take us onto our next character here. This is Sonya Blade, portrayed by Jessica McInerney. And you know what? Perfect. I don't really have necessarily very much to say. I think she fits the role perfect. I thought she was really good in the 2021 movie. Albeit, she was largely sidelined to not having everyone's favorite plot device of Arcana. But I liked her. I liked her a lot. She was good. She was fun, but I don't really know what they're going to be able to do with her here. Ugh. Like, like, it's good to have the First Lady of Mortal Kombat, but, like, I don't really know what they're going to be able to do with her that surpasses what was done with her in the 2021 movie. I think if she just goes in as, like, a fighter or a brawler, I will be, like, pleasantly satisfied. I'm not looking, like, for crazy in-depth character analysis, especially when it comes to Sonya Blade. I don't think that's necessarily needed, but I would like maybe a little bit of substance to her. I don't know how they'll do it. I think maybe depending on how her chemistry works with Johnny, we could see something interesting, but there was nothing in the trailer that kind of inferred that. We will have to see how that all goes. And in terms of combat, we haven't seen, I mean, her exposure to combat hasn't been too crazy. I say that's like a bit of a lie. because she did get that fight against Kano, and that fight against Kano was pretty good. And she did murder Melina, but albeit she got her Arcana out of nowhere. I think it's good for her that she does have the opportunity to go one-on-one with Sindel, though. Sindel's like one of those characters who are like at the really lower end of the higher tier of like female characters in MK, like lore strength wise. So I think that's a really good decision. I think that's really good and really, really solid. Again, I need to see what's kind of going on with her here, and the most important thing for me in my mind, it will be her chemistry with Johnny Cage. Like, I don't know, it's not the most important couple in the Mortal Kombat universe, so to say, but it's really important to that of like modern day Mortal Kombat, especially with the pairing of Sonya Blade and Johnny in like the main canon. And I need to kind of see what's going on there, but nothing's been teased towards that currently. But so far, good choice. Need to see more. There's very little to kind of give away what's happening with her beyond her fight with Sindel, which, by the way, really cool that happens at the bottom of the pit here. Really, really fucking cool. Alright. And talking about Sindel, we now come over to her, and I gotta be for real, from like a visual design standpoint, from like her look and dress attire and the unbelievably like small time we saw from her like in the trailer, I think they nailed down the look of Sindel. I think she looks really, really good. I do think the armor and stuff, crazy, but that's kind of just like Sindel's design for the last few games. They've been a little bit crazy in terms of the chest and like breastplate, but I think she looks great. And I do love that there is like the cracks and the marks in the eyes as well, kind of like signify some form of like corruption opposed to resurrection. It's really cool. I from a visual standpoint, I do think that Fu actually fits into the role really, really well. I just, my biggest worry right now is honestly how she's portrayed in the movie and how she's tackled, not because, like, I don't have faith in the writing or I don't have faith in Anna Fu as, like, an actress, but, you know, Sindel's been in a little bit of a weird place from Mortal Kombat 11 onwards, so I don't know if there'll be any creative liberties taken. I hope not. I feel like we have learned from that mistake, cough cough, but we'll have to wait and see. I think I do have confidence that they have most certainly learned from that mistake, and we'll hopefully be able to do her justice, because we haven't seen a live action depiction of like Sindel in the cinema since Annihilation, and anyone who's a Mortal Kombat fan will distinctly only remember Sindel for the sheer fucking fact she has the infamous line that no one can forget. Chat, you know the goddamn line. Do it. Say it. You know what I'm thinking. She's not... Oh, okay. Jukes, I thought you were talking about fucking Sindel. I was like, brother. that's definitely not what's happening. Annihilation was horrible. Yep. Do it meme. Yeah, no, here's the thing. A lot of people like say, oh, it's so bad, it's good. No. It's bad. It's bad. I had to watch that movie for like 2 months straight when I was doing like the Beyond the Multiverse stuff. I stopped making those fucking videos because I did not want to watch Annihilation again. That movie is ass. I don't care about it's so good it's bad. The 95 movie is camp as fuck and is in many ways so camp it's that good. But you gotta be self-aware. Annihilation, no bueno. No good time. No one's coming home without wanting to take a bathtub with their toaster. It is an awful movie. Battle of the Realms was bad. Yeah, no, Battle of the Realms was bad. But at least Battle of the Realms was kind of taking itself seriously and didn't have to worry about green screen. Annihilation's green screen is so poorly lit. It's so poorly lit, it hurts. Alright. With that said, 2 months sounds like it was torture. Okay, so with like Sindel out the way, I figured we could talk about our boy Liu Kang. And this is a weird one for me because like I'm not a fan of how Liu Kang has been handled in this continuity. Like, I like Ludi Lin playing him. I think Ludi Lin looks great as Liu Kang. He fits the role, I think he fits the role perfectly, and he looks really good as Liu. That can't be denied. Dude's jacked, dude's shredded, fits the Liu Kang wonderfully. Props to him. And also, but before I forget, I will say, it's a mild change, but it's a significant change. The switch from the white to the red garb is level up. Level up. Looks so much better on him. Complementary of his colors. Looks great. But despite the facts... Despite, like, how important Liu is to the Mortal Kombat mythos... This technically is like 2 movies in where he's playing like second fiddle. The first was with Cole Young, and the second now is with Johnny Cage. And I can't say I'm a fan of that creative decision. Like, he's had his moments to shine, right? But there's never been a moment that's made me go, that's our guy. It's been like, oh, that's cool. He did the fire dragon thing. I remember that. And he did like the bicycle kick. That was cool. But he hasn't had that moment where it's like really sunk in. And I think that might be because the last movie was juggling way too many characters, way too many ideas, whilst also having any inclusion of him where he appeared be fucking touched by Arcana. And I feel like anything that touches Arcana is like, it's a death strike. And he was right there getting fucking just jabbed. Not like Robin Show, though. We do miss Robin Show. I hope he's doing well. Now, with that said and everything in mind, it's not like irredeemable bullshit. I think that if he gets a good showing against the likes of Kung Lao, Shang Tsung, and Shao Kahn, like, if there's really good fight choreography and really, really good utilization of, like, action and his skills and abilities, I'm down for my opinion to 1,000,000% change. Down for my opinion to 1,000,000% change. But I'm just not currently sold on him. They really need to do something with him that gets me behind this character. Maybe Katana might be the catalyst for that, but we haven't seen any But we haven't seen like any sort of implied love or connection between the two. Like, there's no relationship between them currently. So I don't know how exactly that pans out in this movie. And I was talking about the importance of a relationship and how, like, important Johnny is to Sonya and stuff. Liu Kang and Katana are, like, on several tiers above that. So not only does that need to be done to actually, like, be faithful to the source material, but, like, it's something that needs to be set up. And I don't know if having a singular movie will do it justice. Like, again, they haven't announced, like, another movie after this. But I do worry with how, like, the kind of handling the quote-unquote chosen one. Especially when he wasn't initially the chosen one, that was Kung Lao. But I do think that wasn't the previous writer's fault, who clearly had favoritism and bias towards certain characters in the previous movie, as well as questionable depictions. But I don't know. I'm holding out hope, but something can be done with him in the right way. I just feel like this movie will either make or break this depiction of Liu Kang. It's like Ryu getting benched for a created character in the second movie he's benched for Dan. So you mean, like... You mean like when Ryu got benched for Alex in Street Fighter 5, and then Ryu gets benched for Luke in Street Fighter 6. It's unfortunate, but it is very real. With that said, I mean, the man's iconic. He'll come back every time, but man, we have a very self-destructive hobby of being able to enjoy fighting games whilst also hating that we love fighting games. Alright. Alright, I think that's all my points for Liu Kang here. Alright. We got a lot to get through. I have tons of points to get through. I wasn't kidding when I wanted to do the stream, because I was like, I'm going in with a lot of things I want to say and want to talk about today. So hello Gab, I hope you're doing well. I think Liu will be the main character. They haven't announced the third movie yet, so we will have to wait and see. So, we have now moved on to a character that I was very happy to see, and I will say I'm kind of glad that they brought him back, because in my opinion, Joe Taslim, everyone talks about Josh Lawson's Kano because he's funny, he's charismatic, and he was fucking hilarious. I think Joe Taslim did a wonderful job with the Sub-Zero he had. He is so goddamn good with what he was able to do, and he had a threatening presence at all points in time. Dude, in my opinion, is like fucking goated. He's an excellent martial artist. If you watch any of his action movies outside of Mortal Kombat, you see how goddamn good he is. He's excellent to watch. Now, with that said, this is a how do I put a lot of this? When it comes to this decision, I will say I am glad that they brought back Bihan. It is accurate to that of the games, and I'm also a really big fan that they went with his MK11 design. And here's the thing, I don't know if I'd say I'm a sucker for nostalgia, but anything that is able to draw like influence from its source material and make it look good, thumbs up for me. But it's ultimately about how you kind of nail that depiction, that character, and that world. And I think that they did get it right with Bihan here. He's ruthless, he's fucking cutthroat, cold-blooded, he'll murder you and your family because lol, Lamau even, he will do it for the shits and giggles. And I think they really did a good job here of kind of actually setting him up as noob, because they made him like, he was just like a straight up bastard in the previous movie. Like, straight up, like, he was more Noob Saibot as Sub-Zero than he was Sub-Zero. He just used ice, and you know what? I'm cool with that. Now that that's out the way, we get to see this man actually cut loose with powers that I feel are more tailored to him. I know, like, some people have taken issue with him being called Bihan instead of Noob. I'm not gonna lie, guys, in a live action depiction of anything, having to refer to anyone as a noob by name probably doesn't land so well. So I'm fine with them going with the tag name of like Bihan here. And if anything, if you think about it, it does set up the joke of him being a noob from Kano as well as Johnny Cage. So I know some people have been a little bit worried about him being called Bihan here instead of Noob Saibot. But I think this is a setup to a joke later down the line. And I'm perfectly fine with that. He's already well established as is. I think this is a good decision and choice they're going with. Kuai Liang is not in this, no. They'll probably set him up, though. I feel like they would set him up. Also, I did... Here's the thing. I also want to point out something that I have seen with, like, people... I don't know if people are being, like, purposely dense, but I feel like they're people are being really dumb about it. And that was people watching the trailer and then coming away from the trailer and then going, like, oh my god, why would you show off that Noob Saibot got killed in the trailer or whatever, when you just literally a second before fucking saw this man split himself from his clone to save himself. And even when he dies, like, the model itself is clearly the cyborg clone. I don't know what the fuck is up with people on Twitter and going like, oh my god, they revealed Noob Saibot's death. Like, brother, what is your attention span? You're like 2 seconds between each other. Random segue, but I really wanted to, like, talk about that because I was just like, maybe, am I the crazy one here? Am I going insane? Or are just people just like, they got the TikTok brain? Oh. So, with that said, I think this summarizes my thoughts on, like, Noob as a whole. I kind of like how he looks. I like the direction they've gone with here. I do like how they're utilizing the shadow clones. We just gotta wait and see in what capacity is he gonna be like a villain. Because I have, like, absolutely no doubt he's going after Cole here. Like, there are NetherRealm sequences, and I expect him to be coming for that man's head. So let's see how that rematch possibly goes, and what else is going on with the character, because I can't imagine they would only briefly use Joe's, like, Taslim's Bihan just for that segment, and then, like, sideline him. Like, he's too goddamn good to just have there for one segment. In what movie are we gonna get the actual tournament? Because this don't seem like the movie. No, this is definitely it, Yogi. I feel like you've watched, like, a completely different trailer to us. Whenever you transform, it kind of looks legit like the game. It does, but it's not as great as you make it sound, because I feel like that might be an issue with the CGI, which we will be touching on at the end of, like, all of these character segments. Because the CGI in, like, some parts of this trailer do look a bit video gamey. Like the part where Scorpion's jumping around the NetherRealm, fucking cool. Love the shot. Looks like a video game though, and I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, it's a video game movie, but, like, it does look a little bit funny. That can't be denied. What part is the so-called tournament? The parts where they're fighting each other? Like, there's clear, like, they are there for a reason, Yogi. I know you're largely negative on this live action shit, but, like, it's very clear that that is what they set up from the last movie. Like, what part is so-called the last movie? No, literally, that was a setup for this movie. And here's the funny thing, is that, like, if that is not the case, hypothetically, if we're being hypothetical, if this movie has been set up for the tournament and still isn't the tournament, then I don't know what the fuck, I don't know why the fuck we got the 2021 movie. It is insane if that is the case. And you know what, Yogi? Just for making that idea, just putting that idea in my fucking mind, you're evil. You're an evil man. Alright, so, now that I've had a little bit of water, this takes us on to this depiction of Scorpion, and, well, that's been brought in since the 2021 movie. And honestly, I really like the casting, because here's the thing. With this particular Scorpion, I think if you need a good actor from, like, the Asian region to help elevate your movie, Hiroyuki Sanada is always, like, a really solid and really good pick. It's great to see him back. And you know what? I'll even say it. It would just be awesome to get more action scenes here with him as Scorpion. But in terms of story substance, I don't really know what they can do. Because the more they're with Cole, the more likely we are to see Scorpion. Which is good, because we get Scorpion, but it comes with Cole. And it, like, the two are unfortunately kind of tacked on and interlinked with each other. So I don't know what's really going on here with him. And my one hope is that going into this movie, that he isn't entirely dependent on him, especially in the Netherrealm sequences, because I would like him to have his own sense of individuality. I think that's really important, because he was great in the 2021 movie, but he was used so sparingly. And that was arguably like the worst part, is that he was used sparingly. He's so good in what he does, and I just would like to see more of him. Honestly, I don't really have much else to say. I don't really have any other crazy feelings about this depiction of Scorpion either. It's very by the numbers, and like I said, I like the casting, I like the action. I just hope he's able to be more himself, and we get to see more of him instead of less. I feel like we'd really benefit from it. Alright, chat. You know what? Before we even get into this section, chat, let me know what your thoughts are on this Shang Tsung. Still haven't announced more characters, whereas he looked good. He was size, so 21 movie. Fine hasn't done enough. Can't talk there. And you know the funny thing, chat? Everything you said here is in my notes. That is the crazy part here. And that wouldn't be Usher Sword, although that would be a cool setup. So when it comes to this depiction of like Shang Tsung, I don't particularly have very high expectations for Shang Tsung. This one I said that this one particularly, I said that twice. The thing is, when it came to having a new Shang Tsung, especially for the 2021 movie, it was always going to be an uphill battle. Kari Tagawa, just like, he can't be topped. Like, it did not help that this man had to go up against Kari Tagawa in the 95 movie, and then his return and portrayal in Mortal Kombat Aftermath. So the memory and idea of that was even more fresh. So again, uphill battle. And what did not help was that in the 2021 movie, despite being the leader of like the main antagonists of the movie, he was just kind of around. Like, he pointed people in directions with very little authority and had very little screen presence. Like, this was a case of a talented actor being put in a position where he's surrounded by far more, like, I'm not sure if I'd say far more talented actors, but he's surrounded by individuals of the same caliber who are just as enigmatic as him and are given more to do. So he's stuck there in the background, literally, especially with that Kung Lao scene, doing kind of nothing. And I feel like that's the biggest problem with this depiction of like Shang Tsung. He doesn't do nearly enough to incentivize my interest to want to see him back. With that said though, and him being back, I absolutely want to see him be smoked. For two reasons. He killed Kung Lao, which, I mean, he had to kill someone, I suppose. Lao just gets fucked up in every timeline, like he cannot get a W. But also, this is just a version of the character that I'm not particularly interested in. You know, we were talking about Chin Han, you know, we were just talking about Kari Tagawa's, like, Shang Tsung and how amazing it was. But we come to, like, MK1, and the dude that took over his VA for it, Alan Lee, is, like, fucking insanely good. He fulfills Kari Tagawa's legacy that he left behind and does it really, really well. Unfortunately, I just don't really get it with this Shang Tsung. I just don't. So I don't... Whatever happens to him, I'm kind of indifferent about it. But I'm just not really crazy about him. I'm fine with him just being whopped, pushed to the side. Shao Kahn is here. I don't care about Shang Tsung at this point. My big boy is in to swing his fucking hammer and dominate. I do not care about little magician man. He had his time in the first movie. wasn't given the time to shine. Move on. Let's go to the next big thing. Alright, that said, thank you very much for the $2 dono, Xavier. Shaolin Monks and 3D era is peak Lao. I'd say Shaolin Monks. I don't know about 3D era. Because, like, he learns stuff from Bo Rai Cho to fight the Deadly Alliance, to then go to fight the Deadly Alliance, to then get completely nuked by the Deadly Alliance. And then he becomes an afterthought. Which really fucking sucks. Because Deadly Alliance and, like, Deception timeline, a bunch of characters were given the opportunity to do, like, really cool shit. And they did. Deception happens, finishes, and then they revert back to the status quo because we need a big roster for Armageddon. God, it's such a travesty. It's such a travesty. I meant arcade. Yeah, I'd say arcade. MK2 to 3 Lao is arguably the best version of Lao. Honestly, I'm working my own alternate version of this film, but I'm still looking forward to seeing what they're getting. Huh. How's that coming along, Gabba? That sounds like quite a cool project. I thought Shadow Clones were Naruto's thing. Isn't Mortal Kombat older than Naruto, though? So technically, would have been stolen for something else. I'd love to see Aaron Black with Takeda. I would love to see either of those on screen. They'd be, both of them are like equally super fucking cool. Both are really cool. Alright. With that said, let's move on to our next character here. And this is a character I was actually very pleased to see. But now that I've seen more of him in the trailer, I'm a little bit hesitant in some areas. Like, from a visual design aesthetic and like appearance and his prosthetics and like just how he looks, they did a really good job. Like, his teeth look fucking awesome. They're a bit too bulky and bulgy in some areas, but you know what? It's a fucking Tarkatan. They have a bunch of teeth. Fine. Relatively accurate. Very, very cool. Love the bone design, like, on the bits of armor as well. Super, super neat. My biggest problem outside of that, also massive props for, like, the wrist blades. They look really fucking sick. Is actually the mouth, but not the mouth. And what I mean is the CGI utilized when he's speaking and talking looks a little bit off. And it's not great. It doesn't look good. It's really choppy. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily just blame the people doing the job for it, because they could do a better job. But it's not entirely their fault, 1,000,000%, because this isn't just this is CGI, this is bad sort of thing. This is a case of an industry that is crunching people who do these sorts of effects and giving them very minimal time to make it look good and give it a lot of polish. Like, we see CG from the early 2000s. Fucking Davy Jones looks incredible to this very day because they're given the amount of time and budget to make it look goddamn good. Here, they have the budget. I don't think they've been given enough time to give it the polish it needs. Because, like I said, costume design as a whole, wonderful. Looks great. They fucking nailed it in that department. But when it comes to getting that much teeth to move, when it comes to making a face like that move with that much detail in a fight sequence where so much is going on, people getting punched, you're doing all this shit, there's only so many like ways you can make all of that look good cohesively. Especially if, like, again, when it comes to time. That isn't a, oh, this is shit because it's shit. It's a time restriction and a factor, which really fucking sucks because he looks really good. And I just take problems that there's clearly, like, there's a few months before this comes out, so there's absolutely time for polish, but whether or not it's a question of, is there enough time for this to look good? And again, if I was to just like nitpick at maybe a problem or issue that I do have, it's like stupid for me to nitpick it. Maybe the voice. The voice, it needs, again, when it comes to Outworlders, I like a sense of like gravity or something a little bit outlandish. Like, this is gonna sound so fucking stupid, but it's so real. He doesn't have lips. He doesn't have lips. He should be fucking spitting up his words and struggling to go per and o. But he sounds relatively fine. He doesn't have lips. And he should be struggling to speak. Like, it is insane. What are your biggest hopes for this movie? That it's good. I didn't hate the 2021 movie, but here's the thing. This is a case of a movie with a lot of really good factors and a lot of good elements to it. But it's whether or not it falls through in that succession. It needs to be both a way to introduce an audience that is interested in MK whilst also staying faithful to MK. That is the hardest part. And honest to God, I feel like with how the MK fandom is nowadays, it's always going to be like a split decision issue. I don't feel like there's ever going to be a case of things working cohesively ever. I feel there are too many, they've attracted too big of an audience that want different things and different elements from this, and it's become so problematic. CM Punk, what do you think of The Miz wanting to play Cage? I like The Miz. I enjoy his work. I especially enjoy his in-ring work. I put like this, I started wrestling in February, so I have an eye and appreciation for the amount of time and work he puts in, especially. But I don't think he needed to be Cage. I have a lot of feelings on Karl Urban's Cage, but I do like him. I just think there's a difference between a WWE actor and a more traditional actor. Those are two different dynamics, and I have seen The Miz act outside of actually wrestling, and those are like just two different fields. I think Karl Urban's more based in it than The Miz is. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a version of The Miz dressed up as Cage, or maybe doing a fun little portrayal in the future, but I would not want to see him in the main driving seat, so to say. But yeah, no, I think this largely does sum up my feelings for Baraka. I do like him a lot. I think he looks great. They really nailed a lot of elements to his character. I just wish there was more polish on the CGI, and maybe just like add a little bit of something to his voice to just make him seem more freakish or outlandish, you know, like I don't want him enunciating complicated words when he has like no lips. Alright, let's move on to our next character here. Oh, sounds like someone dropped glass in my house somewhere. That was awesome. Alright, so this now takes us on to Jackson Briggs, and I will say, I really enjoyed Jax in the 2021 movie. Like, I feel like he had a good arc. I feel like he was a very strong character to, you know. But otherwise, I don't know. He's a character who I'm happy to see return, but he's not necessarily a character that I care about. I'm not the biggest Jax fan in Mortal Kombat in general, but I do like Mehcad Brooks' portrayal of him. I had a lot of fun, and I like what he brought to the role. Yeah, no, even in my notes, like, when I'm talking about this character, like, I really enjoyed him as the character. My one question, I don't know if I'd say it's a worry, I'm just kind of curious with what they do with him moving forward, because he's clearly got control of his arms now, but how do we challenge him as a character in this movie? Does he fight someone who's psychic? Like, we need someone to challenge him in a different way outside of just brawn, because we got that with Reiko. Wasn't very satisfying, mind you. Well, I say that. A man got his head clapped like a fucking beach ball. That was pretty satisfying, I cannot lie. But it was very, very quick. So I do want to see what they do with him here, and I just hope he's good because I do like him as Jax. I thought it was funny how his Arcana was better arms. Dude, Arcana's great. It's like the dumbest fucking... When you actually think about Arcana, it's like the best, dumbest fucking thing ever. What's your Arcana, Kung Lao? I'm good at throwing hats. You gotta wonder, how? How does anyone figure out that's their Arcana? How does anyone figure out that specific, like, imagine, that's like everyone having Arcana, and it's like the worst thing possible. It's like, oh, what's your Arcana? I can have spontaneous exorcism, like diarrhea on the spot. Like, that's fucking Borai Cho energy. That's like the worst thing. That is the worst thing. Like, who, now we think about it. How would people find that they have their Arcana and it's like the dumbest thing? How does Kotal find out he can turn into a cat? How does Kotal find that out? If we're applying that to Mortal Kombat logic, like, how do these characters find that out? Because, like, some of it is hilariously fucking stupid when you think about it. It's very dumb. Very, very dumb. Cabal like a fucking Looney Tunes character just breaks through it. It's got like a shape of him. Insane. Insane. I keep telling you, Arcana has the vibes of animality from Annihilation. Bro. Anything that they draw from like Annihilation, ban them. Ban them. Throw them to the abyss. And you know what? Get that abyss and throw away that abyss as well. Because I don't like the way it's looking at me. Cast it away. Alright. Now, we've covered everything I have to feel about Jax. I can't use sun powers more than turning into a cat. You know what that... Feather, that's like the... That's like my favorite, one of my favorite comments. Imagine finding out that your ability and Arcana is to give people mild sunburn. And then you're surrounded by this man who can suit up in armor, this guy who can fucking bench press like a skull, and you can just give people mild sunburn. That's like the best fucking thing. Oh, Christ. The best live action. Oh. Alright, so this now takes us on to our next character here. And we do have Raiden, and I will say this feels like a step in the right direction for me. Now, for those of you who might be a little bit unaware about myself, I'm not really the biggest Raiden fan. I've never been like a big advocate. I feel like his fumble in the 2011 game really fucking tainted my opinion of him. And, you know, at least it felt like they learned in Mortal Kombat 11. But the 2021 movie came out, and it's like the very fucking worst version of the character. I do not like the 2021 version of Raiden. Great casting, great actor, terrible fucking version of the character. Did not like him a single bit. Like, I found him to be so insufferable because he was so pretentiously self-absorbed with, like, cutting down the main characters and making them feel like shit with his cliched dialogue and his whole, well, oh, Cole, you's a bitch, go home. And it was just like, it was so uncalled for in like so many different ways. And I know they like tried to redeem him by the end of the movie, but like the damage had been done at that point. I had no reason to like him. He was just a dick. But it does... let me take a look. Yeah, no, I thought that was about right. I'm just having a quick look for my notes. And I put it like this. I feel like since the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, my opinion of him has changed a little bit. Mostly because, like, they got rid of that fucking atrocious costume from, like, the 2021 movie, thank God. They made it more in line with that of the games, which, again, step in the right direction. But all of that, like, dickishness is now kind of gone. He's gone from complete asshole to Guardian leading his chosen and doing it in the right way, which is what should have been done in the 2021 movie. Miss Lambert. Oh dear. So, currently from watching that trailer, I do feel like the ingredients for something really good could be done with this character, but, like, right now it's a case of, I see the ingredients of something that can be very good, but I need to see how it's applied, and that's kind of how I feel about this Raiden right now. He's not beyond the point of redemption. I could 100% get behind him, as I do like the actor, and I do like the potential that a well-done Raiden does have, because we have seen it. It's just ultimately if it's tackled with the right perspective, and they don't make the same mistakes as the 2021 movie. Because I did not enjoy that version of him. Alright. Hi Joel, how you doing? We're currently going through some of the casts. I'm going through my notes right now to kind of like talk about all of the things, my own thoughts and feelings on the movie. Some lukewarm takes, some streaming hot takes. The last two characters I got here that I have not mentioned, which if you've been around since the beginning of the chat, you can probably guess who they are. We're gonna get into the source in a bit. I've been watching you for a while, big fan. Oh, thank you for coming by, man. I appreciate it. It was terrible by the Elder Gods. Could have tried harder. I think that also might be a case of he's from Chinese cinema. And I do think he learned English for this role. So I could be wrong here, but a lot of that stuff just, it does not translate over because he has a very, very, like, thick Asian accent. And again, I would know. Asian. See a lot of English Asian people. Very thick accents. But, yeah, this is not... Here's the thing. Yatano is Japanese. Sometimes a lot of that does not translate over. Like, there's different regions and different cinemas. Same with, honestly, as weird as it might sound, I'm Thai. I know a lot of Thai actors. Thai cinema is so overacted in comparison to like that of Western cinema, and sometimes that just doesn't translate over. So this may be a case of that, but you also have to understand like language barrier as well, right? Ong Bak, yep, with Tony Jaa in it. All right, with that said, let's shimmy along. If it'll let me do it. There we go. Alright, so this now brings us onto the princess of the series, Kitana. And I will say, I really, really like this casting. I think that Adeline Rudolph fits into the shoes of Kitana really well visually, and she looks great in the role. I think this is a really solid pick. I've only seen like some of her movies and stuff, and she's generally been pretty good in them. So I'm interested to see how she handles a role like Kitana. I do like what she's able to bring to it currently. Because, like, from what we see of her in the trailer, it's very clear that she's able to, like, embody the fierce ferocity of, like, the princess, with, like, being able to swing around and, like, throw her fans. Like, she looks really good in motion, and she looks really good in the costume. And along with that, we have, like, her coyful playfulness when she's like interacting with Jade, and that's really nice to see. So it's not just like a one dynamic character. They've made her feel very kind of human in that regard, and I think again she just like she fits that shoe really, really well. Also, I forgot I put it in caps in my notes. Also, I really appreciate that they're kind of using the fans in a really interesting way in this movie. Because when it comes to the fans in like Mortal Kombat, they're typically used in strings and stuff, or like they're thrown as projectiles. Like straight up here, they're used as like a buzzsaw or like a chainsaw. Like she'll fucking cut your face open and rotate it in your face as it like slices through. I appreciate that level of creativity because, you know, you don't oftenly see that too much in Mortal Kombat. Like they make Katana very whimsical, very elegant, but how they utilize the fans in a different way here, I actually quite appreciate that. That's genuinely quite cool. So honestly, like, all in all, I'm very pleased with her casting as Katana. I really am looking forward to seeing her in this role. If I was to say, like, if I had like a problem or an issue with Katana, it's probably the design a little bit. I don't know if over design's the right word, but there's a lot kind of going on with like the breastplates and the pants especially. I'm not saying we should go for like MK9 design in terms of practicality, and I think the overall art style of what they're going for in this game, it would not work. But there's a lot happening there. It's not my personal favorite design of her, but I think when she's like wearing the mask and stuff, like it actually completes the look. I think she looks great when it's all there and all kind of put together. But, you know, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. It's not perfect, but there's elements of its design that I really do love. Like, I like the I like the dark royal blue that she has in her armor and stuff. It's pretty nice. It's very neat. And I also kind of like that in the sequences of her designs, it's got like elements of like a spider. I know some people have actually said it kind of looks like a butterfly, but I like the symbolism of the spider on her breastplate and like chest piece because it's very synonymous with Outworld and it's kind of like symbolic of its grasp on her, you know. I think that's really, really cool. I like that idea a lot in her design. Overall, I just really like this depiction of Katana. They've done a good job of her, excellent casting, really stellar design. Isn't without its problems or issues, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Definitely a step in the right direction, especially after like how they handled Melina in the last movie. I want to wash that palette completely out my mouth. This is a good direction, and I hope maybe in the future we see more of her, so I do like what they've done with her here. Alright, chat. Is it time for a controversial character that is going to leave everyone unbelievably divided for a number of different reasons? Because I am. Alright, this is going to be fun to read and see. Got the fire extinguisher. Now, of like almost all the characters I do have here, I think that this is gonna be like the most divisive one amongst fans for like a number of different reasons. And I both agree and disagree for like a lot of different elements for why this both works in some areas and like doesn't work in some areas. Because I know that like to a lot of people, Carl Urban being old seems to be like a breaking point or like a really bad problem, but in my mind, I don't really think that's the case at all. And I think that they were smart and well aware enough to know that this might stir up some controversy, because this is an aged up version of Johnny Cage, and this is a depiction of the character and the actor that fits in line with that of the fucking character. You know, when it comes to Johnny Cage appearing in a Mortal Kombat tournament, one of the reasons why he's ever in there in like the first place is because of relevancy. This is just an instance of the character being much older than what he was, being way more washed up, and being a relic of the past. And you know what? I fucking love that. Because it's smart and it's a bit meta. Because action movies were super big during the 90s. Like Rush Hour, for example. Perfect example of a movie that was perfect. A rising star, something wonderful during the 90s. Guess what? No Rush Hour in the present. Both actors still around, still relevant, but for very different reasons. Johnny Cage is a case of reaching that peak and then just disappearing off the face of the earth, going down, 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 and I love that. I feel like that fits really well with the Johnny Cage character. I think everyone can agree with that. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree with that. With that said, I do actually take a bit of problem and issue with Karl Urban playing Johnny Cage. Not because I think he's gonna be bad, because I have like no fucking doubt. I have no doubt Karl Urban is gonna kill it. My big problem is that when I look at Johnny Cage, I don't really see Johnny Cage. I see Karl Urban. Now, that might not necessarily be a problem with the portrayal or choice of cast or actor, but this is absolutely an instance where I feel I'm far more familiar with seeing the actor than I am seeing the character. And whilst I think Karl Urban with the shades up looks really good, he looks really good, when it's off, I just see Karl Urban. That's kind of like, that's the real problem here. There's no divide in between what I see. There's no blurring between actor and character. I'm seeing Karl Urban instead of sometimes seeing Johnny Cage. And I think that's a bit problematic in some areas. And here's the thing, it's not like we can't see Karl Urban as Johnny Cage. I feel like if Uncaged Fury was anything to go by, is that he can suit and really fit into that role and really look good in it. I think the sunglasses, if anything, kind of like how he donned the helmet in Dredd, completed the look. Without it, he seems kind of naked. Like, I feel like that's something I really want to talk about. Now, mind you, the more I actually see him as, like... I'm sorry. Now, mind you, the more I actually see him, like, dressed up as Johnny Cage, the more I'm getting a bit more familiar and it's not bothering me as much. But, like, it's a case of I need to see it more or it's just kind of weird. So, I'm actually quite happy that Karl Urban is Johnny Cage. I just think the real problem is that I'm struggling to find the difference between actor and character right now. That's my problem. Alright, let me quickly get back to chat and reading, because I'm not going off script. I'm kind of freestyling whilst I'm talking to you, but still something I want to get out my system, so to say. I haven't mentioned Jade. That is my next character. That is, because I purposely left it as the last one, because I have so much to say. We had to build up and actually talk about it, but I have a lot of thoughts. I think Scott Adkins would have been great, but Scott Adkins also doesn't have the pull through that Cole does currently right now, especially in like cinema. Do you go with the lesser known actor who's probably really good for that role, or do you go with the more well known actor who can do the job and still put butts in seats? It's one of those instances. I still like Karl Urban in the role. It's just, again, right now I'm struggling to see the difference, and it's perplexing me. Alright, chat. You know what time it is. Oh, there we go. Alright, so this takes us onto our last and final character. I did save the best till last on purpose, chat. And this is a really weird one for me, because for those who don't know, like, for the longest time, I was a really big advocate for Jade. She was the first kind of like female ninja I was introduced to from Mortal Kombat Deception. That Girls Gone Wild thing from like back in 2005 like awoke something in my brain that I didn't quite understand. And I was really advocating for her return in Mortal Kombat 11 when she did perish in Mortal Kombat 9 and we got all those teasers with like the combat cards and X. I was a really big fan of her then up until 11. Because up until 11, my feelings on the character definitely changed of how she was held and portrayed. And even then, my feelings on that still kind of translate to the overall trailer. So with that said and everything in mind, I will say I'm not crazy about the new look. It's not like apocalyptically bad. I actually think the overall costume design as a whole is like straight up stellar and fantastic. I love the fucking green glowing stick. I think in terms of overall visual design, fucking nail on the head. Looks wonderful. But when it comes to Jade here, Jade is also suffering from the same problem that I actually do have with Carl Urban's Johnny Cage. Because her actress, Tati Gabrielle, who might I add, fantastic actress, like I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. I was first introduced to her in You, and she was great there. I have no doubt she's gonna knock it out the park. The problem is that when I look at Jade, same way I look at Johnny Cage, I don't see the character, I see the actor. Now mind you, she didn't have her mask on for any of that, so I just saw her. And that's kind of the problem. Again, it's being able to find the divide between the actor and the actress, and I do not see Jade there. And that's because she has a very specific look, and it's kind of iconic for her, and because of that, I don't see Jade. I just see Tati Gabrielle. And again, not really a problem. I actually really like her as an actress. It's just that when it comes to portraying a character like this, you gotta be kind of faithful in that regard. Now, I know that the producer has come out and said, like, there is actually a purpose design, like, why this has happened, and it will be explained in the film and stuff, which is all fair and good. All fair and good, mind you. Awesome. I'm glad there's a reason behind it. Thank fuck. But I don't know if this is entirely a direction they should have gone in, personally. Like, they haven't really explained it, but I presume it's a sense of, Shao Kahn wanted to strip the Edenians of, like, their beauty and their femininity, which is fine. Fine, sure, if you want to do that, give it a lore reason. Awesome, perfect. The thing is that there's ways of doing that without going for something quite so drastic. And I'm not too fond of this direction because of that. Because I think from a visual aesthetic and design, it is quite extreme. And along with this, when it comes to live action depictions of Jade, we haven't had a realistic, accurate depiction of the character. Because the last time we did actually see Jade in a live action movie was in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And even then, that was like no way near accurate to what we had of Jade. It was the Asian depiction of her, and along with that, not only was she not a real like guardian or protector of Kitana, she straight up betrayed her in that movie. Here, they had all the ingredients to get it right, and for the most part, it looks like they actually fucking got it right in that regard. It's just when it comes to getting it perfect, they missed the mark in that regard. And again, you could have a narrative reason for why this is the case, or this is a problem, or whatever, sure. But I don't know if this is the direction or choice that I would have gone with personally. And here's the thing, whilst their hair isn't like as important or significant as like a character like Sindel, for example, you know, who's really tied to her hair, when it comes to Edenian characters, they are synonymous with beauty and femininity. And yeah, I guess that they purposely stripped that away because of what like Shao Kahn's done to their people and whatever. But I also don't think it's a necessity. Maybe it could be a justification to, you know, make Jade look more like Tati Gabrielle. Maybe. I don't know. I'm spitballing ideas. But again, it comes back to the duality of what I said earlier about being able to see the character and then being able to see the actor. And that is where the lines do, like, blend. And I just don't see Jade in that regard. Whilst I hope she knocks it out the park, and I have no fucking doubt she will, because she's great when she's given actual material to work in. It just comes at a really weird creative decision, and one that, admittedly, not the biggest fan of. Oh, my spine. Oh. Alright, so this does, for the most part, actually cover all of the characters and stuff. So I'm gonna quickly change my screen around. Let's go to this. Go to this. Alright, let's go back to full screen. I still have some stuff I want to talk about. But yeah, for the most part, it actually covers my individual breakdowns of each character and my personal thoughts and feelings on them. But I still have a few more points to actually talk about when it comes to this trailer in particular, because there's elements I still do like and still don't like that I haven't touched on. Like, for one, I think some of the green screen stuff looks a little bit weird. Like, some of it looks a little bit off at certain points. Especially the opening segment with Johnny Cage and Sonya when they're at the top of the Sky Temple. Looks a little bit funny. And again, it goes back to what I said about people doing special effects not being given enough time. It's not the best, but it's not like deal-breakingly bad. I just think, again, it's a case of it needs a lot more polish. And if they're given enough time and polish, it looks great. Like this scene here, lava on the floor, looks awesome. Looks really good. And some other frames, does not look that fantastic. But I will say that the actual practical on-set appearance for stuff actually looks really good. This bar scene in particular is actually fantastic, because the lighting in it is wonderful. Like, the use of color is wonderful as well. It's really, really good. Really, really good. And I feel like when they're able to use practical stuff, it looks fucking fantastic. But when it goes like full CG, it gets a little bit funny in some places. I was talking a little bit earlier that the Scorpion and the Noob Saibot section looked very video gamey. Again, not bad with it being a video game movie, but if it's about immersion, then it kind of goes a little bit, it's not bad, but it's not great. Yeah, Baraka looks weird. Because here's the thing, it's only his mouth that's CG'd. The rest is all practical. So that's what I mean. Baraka looks fucking awesome. But when this starts going, it gets a little bit funny. It doesn't look great. That's my biggest problem. Because it's actually a really good looking practical costume. It's the mouth. It's like with most movies. Like, they'll get like a fucking insanely good looking like practical like suit, and it will look just wonderful, insanely wonderful. And then they'll fucking CGI elements on top of it that make it look funky doo-doo haha. Because they were like, we didn't want to follow through in the lighting, or we had a problem with this, or we had a problem with that. And it's just like, yeah. But I think my last point to this all is that, well, my last actual good positive point to this trailer is that I think the inclusion of stages here, like, actually look pretty good and solid. I will say I am quite a fan of what they have here and what they have shown. Here's the thing. I know, like, people have a problem with fan service, but is this really fan service when it's in the nature of the game to have all these different stages during a tournament where they fight each other? I feel like it's very much so in line with, like, the series, and it's, in my opinion, I think it's a welcomed inclusion. They didn't have to do that. They could have just done what they did in the 21 movie, where, was it, they fought in, like, a fucking god knows where, like, what was that, like a trailer? Generic attempt at the pit with no lighting. A sand pit? I think it was a sand pit? Like, there was genuinely, like, dog-ass arenas in the last movie. So I'm glad that for this movie, yeah, a barn. Perfect example of that. A barn. I'm glad that they're adding personality to each of these stages, and at least homaging, because one thing I will say that they have gotten most certainly right is that they've taken more elements from the games and implemented it into the movie. And that's drastically what the 2021 movie needed. You know, the opening sequence of 2021 is like the best part of the movie because it's part of the source material. Any excuse that they can have to implement the source material to the actual movie, fucking stellar. You know, we talk about video game adaptations really suffering and breaking away from, like, their fucking source material. I absolutely feel like this is like, they got rid of that issue and they were like, we're just going to try and implement as much as we can, make it feel, look, and be faithful. Have a little spin with it, sure, why not? I don't want my movie to be a retelling of the games one for one, because I just played a fucking game if that was the case. But I'm glad that they're including enough here that I can look at it and go, oh, that's really cool, that's cute. They didn't have to do that, but that's awesome. That's awesome. So with that said, and kind of like everything covered here, I believe this covers all of my thoughts on the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer currently. I know I went through this like bit by bit, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there and have my opinion float around the ether. No doubt this will piss people off because I'm not talking about other topics or issues with it, but this is generally how I feel and I see it, and this is someone who's been like talking and covering MK for like 10 years now. There's a lot of good done here, but there is most certainly problems and issues. I don't know if this movie will be like, fuck it would knock my socks off. I hope it does, because it's got the right ingredients. But I also kind of felt the same way about the 21 movie. And that movie, whilst not terrible, it's not a very good Mortal Kombat movie, because it doesn't complement its source material nearly enough to incentivize it having the Mortal Kombat IP tied to it. This feels very much more in line with that. So I do think there's hope for this. I can only pray that it meets my own expectations. So, with that said, chat, what are your thoughts now? Because we have gone through all of my thoughts and ideas and my feelings on this movie. And I've gone through all of my tips, my thoughts. Are you guys looking forward to this one as well? Or are you guys like, not especially. Mortal Kombat needs to go XXX. My brother in Christ, There's absolutely websites you can find. Do you have... I have covered Mortal Kombat for 10 years and used Google Images as a research source for images to show. I can guarantee you can find that shit. You can find that shit very easily. You don't need it in your AAA games. Oh. So the conquering of identity. Yep, no, 1,000,000%. Fan art, deviant art. Fair enough. I mean, you will find that. Here's the thing. You know what the Rule 34 is. We all know what the Rule 34 is, and we all know what the rule of that place is. Let's not pretend to be naive. Because the internet is a place, and Twitter is a hellhole I cannot escape for business purposes. I went to MK in theaters in '95 and Annihilation. God damn, Tony. Did you watch it on, like, the day it came out? I'm kind of looking forward to the new MK2, but I'm slightly cautious. I think everyone's a little bit slightly cautious. I think it's probably good to go into this slightly cautious. Because I honestly, I did not have really that much of an interest in this movie. Because I say that, I've been covering like Mortal Kombat for a very long time. My expectations is very tempered. So when I heard this another movie was coming out, I was like, cool. When we get some more news about it, I'll talk about it. And here we are. We're talking about it. And I think that it's got potential here. I see more here than I did for the 21 movie, because at least it kind of respects where it comes from. I think that I think that 2021 movie didn't do nearly enough to respect its source material to incentivize a lot of the stuff it was doing. Again, it goes through a case of studio interference. I think it's a case of wanting to feed to a certain audience that wasn't not that interested in Mortal Kombat, but was looking for an action movie to go into. I think this movie is designed to feed both of those audiences instead of having it be an introduction point, because we're so far into Mortal Kombat now. Like, we're so far into Mortal Kombat. It's why I don't necessarily agree with, like, the whole 2021, agree with Mortal Kombat 1 as well, necessarily having to be a reboot, or any Mortal Kombat media, like, having to continuously reboot itself, because, like, it's been around for so long. We're in a world now where resources and stuff being at your fingertips has never been easier. So we don't always have to hit the reset button. We really don't. Plus, this is the last chance MK. This definitely won't be the last chance for MK. Here's the thing. I brought it earlier. And it's unfortunately very accurate and very true. Mortal Kombat, as a whole, will always do really well. Like, people like to talk, oh, Mortal Kombat doesn't sell well, blah blah. That's bullshit. Mortal Kombat sell really well. Even fucking Chaos Reigns, people said it sold bad. No one has numbers for that. Guarantee you, probably sold well. Did it sell well enough to probably get another DLC? More than likely not. But the thing is that these things sell well enough that incentivizes people to get another one. The problem is that whether or not the product itself is of a good quality. And I don't feel like Mortal Kombat 1 is of that quality. And here's another real problem. People compare Mortal Kombat 1 to Mortal Kombat 11 because Mortal Kombat 1 sold 5 million, Mortal Kombat 11 sold 15 million. 10 million gap. Huge, right? Yeah. Except everyone's going to forget the part where there's a 2-year gap of everyone being fucking locked inside during COVID. Of course, people are going to buy shit and play fucking games. And it's the problem we're seeing with the game industry right now. And they're like, oh, why is this game not selling as well? Why are live service games not making $50 bajillion? Because we're going outside. We're going outside and we're doing shit. Like, a lot of people, like, really forget that. A lot of people really, really forget that. It's why, even with this game, whilst Mortal Kombat 1 did not sell as well, it sold better than 9 and X. That's just kind of how it is in that instance. I think it would have been better to have movies take place before or after MK1. Think of the great Kung Lao. Well, there was the Mortal Kombat Conquest series. Also, thank you for the $5 dono, Darmex. Yeah, no, there was the Conquest series. Unfortunately, despite the fact it's quite well beloved by fans, it was cancelled after one season because not enough people watched it. Mind you, I'm pretty sure Conquest also came at the tail end of the 90s. And you know, it's funny as well. We were talking about Mortal Kombat fatigue. I saw that in chat somewhere. What we're all experiencing now is the exact same thing that happened at the tail end of the 90s. Where there was too much Mortal Kombat and shit. Because keep in mind, we had Mortal Kombat, the movie, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, Ultimate, Trilogy, the multiple different versions, the different ports of the games. Then we had Mortal Kombat 4, then we had Mortal Kombat Mythologies, then we had Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The same mistakes are being made now, but are being made back then. Where it's too much shit, and none of it is of the quality that we expect from Mortal Kombat. That's just how it is. Even this movie is at the tail end of like a crazy run. We had like 9 Mortal Kombat products in the last, was it 6 years? Including animated live action games, DLC, and story expansions. That's just a lot of shit, man. That's a lot of shit. And if you're not given any reprieve from it, you're not going to enjoy it. It's the same thing with Marvel shit. When everyone got on Disney Plus and they were like, oh, we got like a Marvel show now. Look, it's Moon Knight. 6 weeks later. Oh, it's WandaVision. 6 weeks later. It's Loki. It becomes a chore. The same thing with the fucking CW shows. Like if you ever watched Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow. It's 5 shows a week with a continuity that ends in a finale after 24 episodes connected to each other that you have to watch. And if you have not watched it up to that point of every show, of every episode for that big finale for the next season that comes out in, let me check it, 2 months, you're gonna be fucking lost, man. It's too much shit. It's just too much shit. So that is one of the problems with Mortal Kombat kind of right now. I'm glad that this is the last Mortal Kombat project for a long time, because it isn't just fatigue, it's just a case of oversaturation. And the thing is, when the market gets oversaturated with something, people are naturally not going to want to see it. That's just how it is. Just how it is, how it always works. Yeah, do they sell well? Sure, but it's never quite at the fandom quality that you want. Same thing with COD. People buy Call of Duty every single fucking year. Do they know it's trash? Yes. Can they help themselves? No. But it's never quite at the quality they want it to be, because not enough time and care is given to them. Because what we have, like Black Ops 7 coming out this year. Black Ops 1 came out when I was in fucking middle school. Like, the fact we're on 7 now, and it's not a bounce cycle between 2 different developers, but I'm pretty sure the same developer, is a sign of quality dwindling in different areas. And again, this isn't just a Mortal Kombat thing. This is a big game industry problem as a whole. It's one of the reasons why I just like have a real problem with games right now, honestly. It's why I only exclusively play story games in like my free time, because like if it's a story game, I know the quality's gonna be there because the QA testing, time and thought that's been put into it is more than any shit that's been put out every single year. Like, if you've ever bought a wrestling game and then you buy next year's wrestling game, it's almost the fucking same, isn't it? It's because not enough time is done in between it. That's one of the big problems and issues. So I think we're seeing the same thing with MK. I think the NetherRealm Injustice Mortal Kombat cycle was unfathomably like beneficial to the team because it gave them time to exercise like their creative chops without feeling constrained to like having go, oh okay, I need to get over here for another 3 or 4 or 5 years. Because keep in mind, they're already working on their next project, and they've only been working on MK games since 2017. If they have and are working on another Mortal Kombat game, that means they've been working on Mortal Kombat for 8 years now. I think they need a break, because when the new when the new NRS game comes out, they immediately start working on the next one. So they are burned out. They are burned out as a team. And whether or not they need to like fucking go and tackle something else, sure. But let the team have some reprieve, because like it's very clear that they are burned out. They need that. Well, hey, it's definitely not that, because if they lose their whole... Well, I say that. Hey, by any chance, do you know what they look like without their helmets? Because you can actually see them without their helmets. For Ragnarok, The Boys, Star Trek... Wait, what? 8 years of MK, damn. Honestly, they don't need to actually make another Injustice. They're owned by Warner Brothers. They have so many IPs they could work on and work with. But like, by staying with just the same IP on a loop, you put yourself in a state of burnout. Because I would know. I've been covering it for 10 years. I'm in fucking burnout because I have to see and deal with this stupid shit all the time. It is insane. There are ways of getting the team around to going and doing new and different stuff without it being so, like, cutthroat, so to say. Oh, boy. Yeah, no, there's tons of things. There's tons of things that can be done and should be done with the team. And I feel like maybe being constrained to just doing Mortal Kombat, it's not good nor healthy for the team. I don't think it's in their best interest. But yeah, honestly, I wouldn't... Warner Brothers owns Godzilla. The fucking sort out something with Toho and make a Godzilla fighting game. Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. We won't be getting a new Shaolin Monks, unfortunately. That one I can bust your balls on, which is... It's really tragic. It's really tragic. I'd love another Shaolin Monks, but it is not on the cards, sadly. At best, it's part of the arcade collection. But I do not see that coming anytime. Well, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen that in any of the previews. I don't think they put any of the spin-off games there, but I goddamn hope they do. I goddamn hope they do. Is that Sub-Zero mask in background actual mask? You see, that's the worst part, my friend. This was part of the collector's edition for Mortal Kombat 11. This is really cool. This mask is not wearable. It is strictly for look, design, and aesthetic, which is a real shame because it's genuinely really neat. But goddamn, like... Mind you, it was given to me as part of like a free PR gift, which is nice. But it sucks, man. It's so cool looking. Toho will probably tell you to go play Giga Bash. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't think NRS can do that for a while. They need to fix their tax cards. No, you're 100% correct. NetherRealm won't work on a new, no. they will probably work on a new IP, but it won't be their own IP. It will have to be like something else just as big, or something that's on par with one of their like big four right now. Honest to God, I do hope that they maybe just stick to making... I feel like Injustice is the safe pick to go with, but I don't know if they'll follow through on it. I don't know if they'll follow through on it, because Mortal Kombat makes the big bucks. And, you know, whilst Chaos Reigns didn't quite probably do as well as what they had hoped that they would do, I guarantee you it probably made them a considerable amount of change back. Horror fighting game. So here's the funny thing. A horror fighting game would be so fucking cool. I would 1,000,000% be unfathomably down for that. If it can be done, I want it fucking done. But it won't. And I'll tell you why. And Crow even said it in chat. Getting access to all of those IPs to have in one game is like fucking hell on earth. And here's the thing, when it comes to actually getting the characters, it's not the license for the character as a whole. It's a license for a version of that character from a scene, a comic, or movie. It's never just like a plethora like, oh, I bought the license to the character, therefore I can use 5 different versions of the character. No, it's 1. 2 if you're lucky. 2 if you're lucky. And that's what makes it also problematic, because they have to fork out a bunch of money to then get the licensing. Then you got to get the VA. Then you got a model. Then you got a rig. And then they need to play well. And then you need to ship it. And then you need to market it. And you need to make sure that the marketing and the money you make from that can all funnel itself back to cover all of those funds. And whilst that might be successful, keep in mind, horror is still quite a niche thing. Not everyone's into horror and stuff. And when you're having an entire roster filled with a bunch of different characters just like that, it becomes really problematic. Would I love to see it? Yes. Do I think it is possible to ever take fruition? I unfortunately think not. I hope one day something like this can happen. What was it? Terradome? Has basically like... It's an indie game that kind of... It has lightly walked around those licensing issues. I do not know how or why that's been able to do so, because that's like... In many cases, that's like that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But, yeah, it's gonna be something, man. I hope I'm wrong. Alright, let me get back to chat. Can do a different Injustice game. I felt that 2 innings, great. Mortal Kombat 1 situation. Well, the evil Superman stuff has already been expanded upon in a He-Man crossover comic. So they could only really do the Batman one. And the thing is, when it comes to this specific Superman, I don't think they're gonna do it. Because here's the thing, especially with the current Superman that's come out this year, this is the first time in a decade where Superman has been portrayed as Superman and not a Jesus Christ godlike figure that came off the New 52. They have redeemed, like, they have made Superman again. And just to show you the damage that, like, the New 52 did, along with Zack Snyder's portrayal of Superman, we've had, like, tons of evil Supermen over the last few years because of that specific design, portrayal, and character. We've obviously had the evil Injustice Superman. We've had Brightburn's weird Superman parody. We've had Omni-Man. We've had Homelander. Fair enough, these are all characters from comic books, from media that pre-existed the New 52 and Zack Snyder movies, but have been popularized post Zack Snyder's Superman. All of that stuff kind of folds in on itself and did irreparable damage to the character. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're talking about Superman and what direction we go with Injustice. This is the first time in a decade where Superman's kind of reputation has been a bit repaired, and I don't think going with an Injustice 3 with an evil Superman in the equation is a good decision. I really, really don't. And here's the thing as well. Like, I know some people will be like, but he can be redeemed. You know, he'll be fine. It's like, he lasered Billy Batson in the face. He's like 12. He murdered a child because he said nah. Like, I don't think you can be redeemed after doing that to a 12-year-old. Like, yeah, he was in Shazam form, but you still fucking murdered a kid. Like, fucking semantics aside. Oh. And yeah, Feather, I did read up and see a lot of that stuff. It seems very messy. Evil Superman or Revenant Liu Kang, which is more infuriating? Evil Superman, because it's very overdone. And sometimes it's not done well enough to incentivize it. Like, a version of it that is really bad is The Boys comic adaptation of Homelander. Because fucking hell is it bad. It's just like, it's a 14-year-old's version of like, how can I make this edgy but also kind of cool, but also kind of edgy, but also kind of lame. There's versions of doing it, and he does it really bad. It's not good. It's not very good at all. See, the new film, I automatically think Nightmare on Elm Street. That remake is questionable. Also, MK2, Kindana is being played by Alan Rudolph, but showed Sophia Zhu as young Kitana. What, on like an IMD? Because I know that Adeline Rudolph is portraying the character. I follow her on Instagram and stuff. But it's the first time I've heard about it. Superman killed Captain Adam, Green Lantern, or Manhunter. Yeah, but you gotta keep in mind that when it comes to the comics, like, the games always take priority over the comics. It's why the beginning of Injustice 2 is so different from the comics. It's supposed to be a retelling of the Arkham Asylum event, but it doesn't go like one for one with the events that happen. So I would not hold the comics kind of over the games in a lot of instances. Mostly because continuity problems and changes. Wonder Woman also killed Billy Batson Flashpoint animated movie. Yeah. To mind you, that is Elseworld as well, and I will say that version of Wonder Woman is significantly worse. But goddamn, you're on IMDb. It was great. It was very good. Alright, with that said and everything covered here, guys, I think that's gonna kind of do it for me for the time being. I will say, this was a super spontaneous stream. I didn't really plan on doing this, but last night's video did really well. Thank you again for all the love and support on that. So I wanted to come by and kind of do a live video of this. I might re-upload and like chop this up as a YouTube video, or I might make this a video. I'm yet to decide. But I still appreciate all of you for coming by and hanging out. I would like to do this maybe once a week. If not to play games. I say play games. I do not play Mortal Kombat 1. I do not enjoy that game very much. I appreciate you all still coming on by to hang out and talk about all things MK related. If any more news and stuff does pop up regarding the movie or any finer details, we will be back here live talking about all the stuff. I suppose keep an eye out on my socials to like see what's going on with me here. I'm probably gonna upload some of my pro wrestling stuff starting next week. For those of you who don't know, I started pro wrestling in February, so maybe next week you'll see a video of me bouncing between the ropes, or maybe armbarring someone, or doing a sunset flip or a spiral tap. We'll see. I don't want everyone seeing or knowing what I'm doing entirely outside of it, but I would like to share my wrestling stuff in the future. With that said, that's gonna wrap it up for the time being. Please do enjoy the rest of your weekend. I know it's Sunday. Hopefully, again, if I have the time, I might try to come by and do another stream next week. No promises, but until then, everyone, please take care. Glad you had a good, wonderful time. And yeah, just keep an eye out for next week's videos. Take it easy.